Life's not a race, but a journey to be savored each step of the way. Yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift. That's why we call it the present. Brian Dyson. In almost every level of sport, from high school to college to professional, the primary goal is to win. But why is that? Yes, life is competitive, and it's in your instinct to want to win and succeed. You may want to win in many aspects of life, but you also may lose from time to time. When it comes to learning life lessons, growing as a person and developing as a player, which do you think is more beneficial? Winning or losing? If you're running a race called life, what are you running for? How are you running? Well, you don't want to miss out on today's story, because today, let's unlock another key to untapping your potential. Welcome to Untapping Your Potential, where we will share with you motivational stories, motivational figures, comeback stories, and public speaking tips that will keep you growing and inspire you to take action. Once upon a time in a small town lived a young athletic boy. He was a bright young kid who was also a great runner. Because of his exceptional talent, no one could match him. Winning was all he ever known, and it meant everything to him. He was hungry for success and believed that winning was the only way to measure it. One day, the boy took part in a running competition that was being held at the local racetrack. A huge crowd had gathered to watch the sporting event, and after hearing about the little boy's talent, an old sage had traveled from a nearby town to observe him. The young athlete had to compete against two other boys in the first round of the competition. It didn't take long for the race to begin, and everyone was on the edge of their seats. The three runners were neck and neck on the track, but the little boy managed to summon his determination, power, and strength, and took the winning line, finishing first in the round. The crowd went wild. The boy felt proud and important by the crowd's loud cheers. The wise sage, on the other hand, remained calm and unimpressed. Soon after, a second race was called, and this time two much older and fit men stepped forward to challenge the young boy. The race began very shortly, and the little boy managed to finish first once again. The crowd became even more ecstatic, cheering and waving to the little boy. But the wise sage was still motionless in his seat. The little boy's ego grew even bigger. He felt invincible. In the midst of his victory, he started to shout, "Another race! Another one! Come on, give me another one!" It was only then that the sage decided to finally intervene. He stepped forward and presented the little boy with two unusual challengers: an elderly, frail old lady and a blind man. "What's this?" the boy said, confused. "Are you making fun of me? A race with them is no race," he exclaimed. But the old sage merely ignored him and looked towards the race marshal. "Proceed with the race." After hearing the old man's words, the young man, hungry for victory, asked no further questions. He took his place on the starting line alongside with two unusual competitors. Very shortly after, the whistle blew and the third race started. And just after a few seconds, the boy was the only one to finish the race, leaving behind the other two competitors still making their marks at the starting line. The youngster raised his arm in delight, but to his surprise, no one in the audience cheered for him this time. Everyone was just staring at him, silently. In fact, some were even visibly disappointed. "Wait, what's wrong? Why isn't anyone cheering for me?" the little boy asked in confusion. The wise old man shook his head and only said, "You want to know why, young man? Then race again. But this time, finish alongside the other two. You three must finish the race together." The little boy paused for a moment before returning to the starting line. He stood in between the frail lady and the blind man. Then he took both of them by the hand, holding it firmly. Soon after, the whistle was blown for the fourth and final time, and the race began. The little boy started to walk slowly, guiding the old lady and blind man towards the finish line. Eventually, they crossed it together. The crowd was ecstatic at the end of the race this time, even more so than in the previous rounds. Everyone was smiling, cheering, and waving. The wise old sage even rejoiced with them and laughed proudly at their victory. The little boy felt proud, but in a different way than before. But he couldn't figure out what was so significant about what had just happened. He approached the old man and asked, "I'm sorry, I'm confused. Who is the crowd cheering for? Which one of us three won?" The wise man looked at the little boy in his eyes and placed his hands on his shoulders. "Young man, you have won far more in this race than in any other race you have ever ran. You have won the respect of others, and the crowd isn't rooting for a winner in this race. They're cheering to show their appreciation for how well you ran." Leaders choose not to win the race alone. John Maxwell. Life is not a competition. Life is about helping and inspiring others so we may each reach our potential. Kim Chase. Let me ask you this. Are you hungry for success? If so, what can you gain from winning? What can you lose from winning? Your success is determined less by speed and more by timing and direction. All that is required is that you do the right thing at the right time. There's simply more to life than speeding up. The problem with living life in the fast lane is that you arrive at the other end far too soon. But always remember, haste makes waste. Most of the time, you overestimate what you can accomplish in a year, while underestimating what you can accomplish in a lifetime. Some of the most common measures of success are wealth, job title, and happiness. But are these really what measures your success? Yes, you should strive for business success. You should strive for victory in everything you do. But you also want to make room for the moral and symbolic victories that will lead to bigger and more satisfying victories in the future. Running faster makes no sense if you're running in the wrong direction. Working harder makes no sense if you're working on the wrong thing. So why take a path that isn't meant for you? What's the point of taking a path that you don't want to take? What's the point of running if you're on the wrong track? Life isn't supposed to be a race. Life, like a flower, does not compete with the other flowers that are planted nearby. It simply blooms and blossoms into something lovely. When you go on a journey, you consider your progress as well as the journey itself. Don't only think about the end result. Take pleasure in the daily progress and the encounters along the way. Instead of tearing down others, try building them up. Encourage them on their path. Be like a flower. Bloom and show your beauty. Because, as John Maxwell would often say, I would rather cross the finish with someone and not be first than to be first and cross it alone because you have no one to celebrate your victory. Thanks for watching this video. How would you like to hear more motivational stories on a consistent basis? Do me a favor and support the channel by sharing, commenting below, and please make sure to like and hit that subscribe button to get the latest updates. Soon, you will be on your way to feeling inspired.